რა არის ის, რაც გვაქცევს ჩვენ ევროპელებად? ეს არის მარტივი, მაგრამ მუდმივი კითხვა. მინდა სცენა დაუთმო პაველ ჰერჩინსკის ევროკავშირის ელჩს საქართველოში, გარეთ ვორდს ბრიტანეთის ელჩს, რებეკა ლის ნორვეგიის სამეფო საელჩოს მისიის ხელმძღვანელის მოადგილეს და ანატოლი მალუსკას მრჩეველს უკრაინის საელჩოს საქართველოში. უღრმესი მადლობა, მოგბრძანდით.
Very warm welcome to everyone. Today we are celebrating Europe Day in Tbilisi. This is for the fourth time. We do it here at Expo Georgia. It is a Team Europe effort. You have seen our member states and European Investment Bank, European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, our civilian mission, EUMM. All member states are present and they are showcasing the best from their home countries. Interestingly, we have some ambassadors who traveled a long way to join the celebrations. We have ambassador from Belgium, ambassador from Finland, and even ambassador from Malta for the first time, who came to celebrate Europe Day with us. But Europe is far more than only 27 EU member states. We have our closest like-minded partners, and this is why I'm very happy and privileged to introduce good friends of mine, Ambassador of United Kingdom, Gareth Worth, Rebecca Lie, Deputy Head of Mission of Norway, and Anatoly Malyuska, Counselor at the Embassy of Ukraine in Georgia. Warm welcome to our guests. They represent 3 European countries that are our closest allies, like-minded partners, with very different history of relationship to the European Union. And what I wanted this podcast to do is to show their story, their relationship to the European Union, what Europe means for them, especially in the current shifting geopolitical landscape. This is a very relevant and timely question. What do we mean when we talk about Europe and being European? It is particularly important to show that Europe goes beyond Brussels, that Europe goes beyond EU institutions, which I represent. Your countries, your 3 countries, are testament of what it means to be European, even if you are not members of European Union. Allow me to start with Gareth. What does it mean to be European today, beyond geography? Is it about values, about political choices, about history, a bit of everything, or maybe something else? Gareth, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Pawel, and it's a great pleasure to be here and wonderful to see so many visitors at Europe Day. And of course, history matters, geography matters, we share a European continent, but I would like to focus perhaps more on the values and interests which I think are extremely relevant to us all in this room, whether the 3 partner countries on stage or Georgia as a partner country. And maybe I'll give 2 examples, one a little bit humorous and then one a bit more serious. So I would say, if I had to choose, pluck out of the air a value which defines us in Europe, as a Brit, I'm going to say playing by the rules. And, we can take that as an example from sport. We're very proud that we invented the rules of football in the UK. Unfortunately, when we play in the European Championships, well, everyone has to play by the same rules. When we play in the European Championships, we don't seem to win very much. In fact, the men's team, we've never won. The women's team, however, we've won twice, the last 2 Euros. So, well done, British, I should say English women, because although we play by the rules, we have 4 teams. We have England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. And that's obviously a humorous anecdote, but I think the point I'm making is that cooperation and friendship needs a common understanding, and it needs a common set of rules. And if we take the serious example, then I think it's very clear to everyone here at this event that there are rules that we designed as nations after the experience of conflict and wars in the not too distant history. We designed international rules to protect sovereignty and to make it more difficult for territory to be taken by force. This is a key. This sort of rule is what defines us as Europeans. We subscribe to it, and we are willing to come together to defend and protect those rules. And that's why, at the moment, our number one task as Europeans is to support our Ukrainian friends and partners so that they can resist attempts to break the rules by their big neighbour, the Russians. And you know this very well in Georgia. So I think playing by the rules, because the rules protect everyone. They protect the small against the big, the weak against the strong. It's not just, it's rules for business. We trade together, even though the UK is no longer part of the EU. We still have incredibly close trade partnership because we all play by the rules. So for me, that's the message I would like to leave. Playing by the rules helps everyone, and Europe's a good example of that.
Thank you very much, Gareth. I couldn't agree more. And one of the key fundamentals of European integration process is rules-based world order. And this is what I think brings all of us together. That, we play football, others play box. If you want to play football, you cannot apply the rules of boxing. You need to play football like everyone else. Rebecca, moving to you, I would like to ask you about the common issues that Norway and the European Union face together. What are they, and what makes the European Union a good partner to you, to Norway, to face those challenges together?
Thank you, Ambassador, and thank you so much for inviting me to join this panel. Happy Europe Day, everyone. I think there are many challenges which are common to Norway and the EU, and no wonder we are very close neighbors. Some of our closest neighbors, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, are all members of the EU, and we share the same home, the same continent. So, as Gareth said already, I think the number one challenge we are facing today is this threat to European security and the threat of Russian aggression. So our joint mission, I would say, together with the EU, is to support Ukraine in that fight, to support them as they protect their homeland, but also as they protect Europe and our way of living, our values, our core democratic values. And we do this in different ways. We implement sanctions from the EU to hinder Russia's war machine, hinder Russia's ability to wage war against Ukraine. We support Ukraine financially. Norway has allocated $8.5 billion in 2026 towards this, and some funding is also going through EU instruments in that regard. And in a wider sense, Norway is also, for example, allocating personnel to the EU's security and defense policy missions. So these are some ways we are working together on this issue. And then secondly, I would maybe mention energy security and linked to that, climate change. So I think it's in the EU's interest and in Norway's interest to have stable energy markets in Europe. This is a concern for everyday households, for you and me. And in that sense, Norway is a reliable partner to the EU, supplying oil and gas to the EU today. We're the main supplier. And then secondly, when it comes to climate change as well, this is an issue which we all feel in Europe, in Norway, in particularly in the Arctic, which is warming at a pace 3 times higher the global average. This is a key issue for us. So Norway and the EU is working together to reduce global emissions, to mitigate climate change, and also to invest in new green technology. And in that sense, it's key for European businesses who are developing new solutions for renewable energy, for green technology, that they can participate in EU programs such as Horizon, which is allocating funding for research. And then my last point would maybe be to sort of paraphrase Gareth a little bit, to the threat against democracy that we're seeing today, the general backsliding across the world. Here, I think Norway and the EU are completely on the same line. Norway is a very small country. We are 5.4 million people, and we rely on a rules-based world order. We have an open economy, so to work together with the EU in this sense is key for us, and especially now to counter foreign information manipulation and to counter threats against our shared democratic values. We work together.
Thank you so much. As you have noticed, both Gareth and Rebecca mentioned Ukraine. Having Anatoly here with us is a great privilege, and let me start by showing our deepest respect to the bravery of Ukrainian people who are defending not only their freedom, their statehood, but also defending all of us, defending the values that Europe has been built on. Anatoly, I would like to ask you a question about Ukrainians' membership path, membership in the European Union. Why do Ukrainians want to join the European Union? What are the perceived benefits of EU membership of Ukraine?
Okay. Dear ambassadors, distinguished participants of this session, dear guests, let me first of all to congratulate you, all of you, on the occasion of Europe Day, which we are celebrating today in Tbilisi during this sunny day, and it's perfect day. Let me thank you very much for everybody here for support of Ukraine, especially the European Union, the Great Britain, Norway, for kind help and assistance in our fighting with the aggressor with Russian Federation. This session is devoted to a very important issue, what makes us European. If you allow me, I will tell you my vision of this. As it to me, to my mind, being European, it's like a mixture of political, cultural, geographical identity anchored in the shared values, which are the human rights, the democracy, and the rule of law, of course. Let me to go back to the very important and for us, for Ukraine, very important question relating to the benefits for Ukrainians to obtain the full membership of the European Union. For us, they are clear, by the way. Firstly, it's prosperity for Ukrainians, thanks to the European single market. Secondly, it's economical development of Ukraine, thanks to the common currency, thanks to the largest, I'm sure the largest trade bloc, which is the European Union. Thirdly, it's a visa-free regime, thanks to the Schengen Agreement, which allows to the citizens of the members of the European Union to travel freely across the European Union. And of course, finally, it's freedom. What do I mean? It's freedom to live, it's freedom to study, it's freedom to work anywhere you like across the European Union. Despite of these benefits, Ukrainians are sure that the integration process will bring the security and prosperity not only to Ukraine but to the European Union as well. At the same time, I have to stress that the integration process can and must bring back the European Union to the so-called appetite for enlargement, as well as understanding that the European integration of Ukraine will not bring only benefits only for Ukraine, but to the European Union itself. I am sure that without that European security directly depends on the security of its neighbor countries, including Ukraine. And as they say, we need a tandem to dance a tango. We need interaction between the dancers in order to play well. Finalizing my answer, I would like to stress again that it will be a historical victory not only for Ukraine but to the European Union as well. I mean obtaining the full membership by my country, by Ukraine. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anatoly, and obviously I couldn't agree more. I'm a EU ambassador. I represent 27 member states, but I also have my nationality. I'm Polish, and my country joined European Union 21 years ago, and clearly this has benefited tremendously Poland, but it has also benefited everyone else. The bigger we are, the stronger we are, and the more we can influence what's going on in the world. And this brings me back to Gareth, and sorry for being a bit emotional. It's Europe Day. I hope I will be excused. But the moment United Kingdom decided to leave the European Union was one of the saddest days of my professional career. Instead of 28, we became 27. Of course, that was the choice of British people that we respected. But this gives you a unique perspective as a former member of the European Union, and linking this experience to what we are today witnessing in Georgia, namely the increasing concerns about preserving national identity and traditions. My question to you is very straightforward. Did EU membership take away or dilute or challenged UK national identity, culture and values?
Thank you. As you factually point out, the UK was a member of the EU for 47 years, and then we left in 6 years ago. And, you know, it's a settled policy of our government and many of the political parties in the UK to cooperate closely with the EU. We just signed a very important defense and security partnership. We have a very integrated trade partnership. But to pursue our own path outside the Union. But to answer your question, let me again take a couple of examples. Did the EU reduce or damage or change British traditions? If I asked you in this audience to say what's the most obvious British tradition, I'm going to guess that the number one answer would be the royal family. We have a constitutional monarchy. It has lasted for 1,000 years. I mean, we had kings and queens earlier, but this constitutional monarchy, I'm no expert historian, but around 1,000 years, and it's still going. And when we joined the EU, we didn't have to change any of the pomp and ceremony of the royal family. The annual trooping of the colour for His Majesty's birthday is the same as it has been for hundreds of years, and we've just had a state visit of our King to the United States, which everyone was watching on television. So the EU did not take away those elements of Britishness. The EU, when we were in the EU was perfectly flexible enough to deal with a constitutional monarchy, which is, there are a few other monarchies in the EU, but most are not. And another example, something that gets talked about, religious identity. We have various different churches in the UK, but we actually have the Church of England, the Anglican Church. The King is the head of the church, and in Parliament we have 26 bishops. We could debate, does that sound democratic to you, or does that sound old-fashioned? Does that sound... So I don't think there are any bishops in the Parliament in Poland, even though Poland is a very religious country as well. But we have bishops in our parliament, and they play a role in legislation. There was a recent debate about assisted dying. Should people have the right to die when they have a terminal illness? And the decision in the UK was, no, we won't pass that law, and the church played a role in that debate. So I think that goes to show that when we were in the EU and when we're outside the EU, we have preserved some unique traditions which may not, which certainly are not common to every EU country, and they're certainly not common to every European country. But there's flexibility, and we have 4 nations in our country, and 4 parliaments, and there are many different constitutional arrangements in European countries. So I think strength is in diversity, and the EU is perfectly compatible with that.
Thank you very much. I think it's an extremely valuable insight, and to be honest with you, I was not aware of the presence of bishops in your parliament, which is something very exceptional, and also, constitutes one of the uniqueness of the British system. Moving to Rebecca, I was in Norway only once. Unfortunately, it was a very short stay, and I didn't move away from the capital, Oslo. But walking the streets of Oslo, I didn't feel like I'm in a country that is different from any average member of the European Union. I think the closeness is really striking. And Norway still is not member of the European Union, and on several occasions in a referenda, Norwegian people decided not to join the European Union. But at the same time, Norway is cooperating with us practically on everything, extremely closely. What is the added value of this cooperation for Norwegians?
Thank you. And yes, you're right. We have an extremely close cooperation with the EU. I think we usually say that Norway is the most integrated non-EU state, basically. So just to give a little bit of context, most of Norway's cooperation with the EU stems from the EEA agreement, which allows Norway, Iceland, and Liechtenstein to have access to the European single market. So I would agree with my Ukrainian colleague then that the access to this market is maybe one of the biggest benefits for Norwegians with our cooperation with the EU. And it makes total sense because, again, we are a very small country, 5.4 million people. And instead of this market, we have access to the EU market, which is 450 million people. So it's a huge step up, and that means that the EU is our biggest trading partner today, accounting for 75% of our trade. And there's also been statistics showing that the access to the single market has increased the overall Norwegian trade with between 35 to 65%, and it has also had an effect on welfare. So I think this is a very good example of a benefit to Norwegians. The second one I would like to focus on is the ability to move around in the EU. And for this we have the Schengen Agreement, so Norwegians can travel around with no internal border controls. And we have Erasmus, which allows us to go and study in other Erasmus countries. And I've had the opportunity to do this myself. I was an Erasmus student in Germany for a year. It was a great time. I have really fond memories from that time. And I think this is the same for many Norwegian people as well. A third example is that if you're in another EU country and you get sick, you need a doctor, Norwegians have access to this European health insurance card, which allows us, or it gives us the right to receive healthcare in the same way that a local EU citizen would. And then maybe at the end I would just say that I think also the EU is championing consumer rights and product standards, which are benefiting Norwegians as well. So for example, if your flight is delayed in Europe, you have certain rights as a customer. You can roam in the EU with no extra charges today. And I think the latest is that the EU decided to have one joint charger for different electronics instead of having to buy different ones for different brands or different devices. So I think these small things are also something that Norwegians are noticing on an everyday basis.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. I think it was extremely useful to be reminded of those very small things that make huge difference for ordinary people. Anatoly, for a long, long time, we were talking about enlargement trio: Ukraine, Moldova, and Georgia. Since Russia's brutal invasion of Ukraine, practically the trio stopped to exist, regrettably. Ukraine and Moldova are moving forward on the path of EU integration. Ukraine undergoes extremely challenging internal reforms while at the same time defending its territory from Russia's aggression. In Moldova, we just had very important parliamentary elections. Russian propaganda, disinformation, hybrid warfare didn't manage to brainwash Moldovan people who voted in favor of the current government pursuing EU integration. Since Georgia received status of a candidate country for EU membership a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, unfortunately, we are not moving forward. In your opinion, what words do you have for Georgians who aspire to become a member of the European Union, taking into account the current situation?
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for its very interesting question. But, well, okay, Georgia is a sovereign state, and it's up to each citizen to decide in which way they should follow. They should find the wealthy future for them. I'm sure that Georgian people are wise enough in order to make a right choice. And to my mind, the European path for Georgia is firm. The Georgian people and Georgia itself made this decision many times ago, I think, and they are following this path. I'm sure that the European integration is one of the highest priorities for the government of Georgia, and right now as well. The European integration is written in the Georgian constitution. So I'm sure that the government will do its utmost, all it's possible to bring Georgia more closer to the European Union, and Georgia will become a member, it's my opinion, so will become a member of the European Union. By the way, the European integration is one of the priorities of the negotiation between Georgia and Ukraine right now. You know that recently on the sidelines of the summit of the European political community in Yerevan, the president of Ukraine, Mr. Volodymyr Zelensky, met with the prime minister of Georgia, Mr. Irakli Kobahidze. Okay, well, they have had, they didn't have a discussion because the meeting was too short, but this meeting was followed by the telephone conversation between two ministers, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, Mr. Andriy Sabiha, and his counterpart, Ms. Maka Bocharishvili, and then they discussed this issue. Ukrainian government is open to proceed with the communication with the Georgian government, and of course the topic of European integration will be the one of the most important topics during these events. So I am sure that either Ukraine and Georgia soon, I hope soon, we will become a full members of the European Union. And finishing, even I promised to myself that I will give up smoking when the Ukraine become a full members of the European Union. So I do have a private interest in this. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I hope that you will be forced to quit out smoking very soon. And this is what I wish to you and to all the smokers here. Please follow the example of Anatoly. Look, but thank you for those words. I think that all of us here on stage wish the EU enlargement to happen swiftly, and we all hope that Georgia will be part of this enlargement. This is supported by the vast majority of Georgian people. This is enshrined in the Georgian constitution. And this is what the authorities of Georgia are declaring. However, as we know, this needs to happen on rules that apply to everyone. And those rules need to be respected by every candidate country. And as European Union, of course, we are always ready to help, to assist any way we can in order to move forward. Do you want maybe to react to each other comments? I think these were very important messages, not only about quitting smoking once this historic days comes. For instance, when I was coming here to Georgia 4 years ago, nearly 4 years ago, I was hoping that at the end of my stay, Georgia would be in a point of no return when it comes to EU integration. That we would move things together with Georgian authorities as far as possible. Luckily, my stay in Georgia has been extended, so I'm not leaving yet. We have more time to do it, but the time is running out. Also because we see the commitment, we see the dedication, we see the seriousness of other candidate countries who will not wait and should not wait. When it comes to Western Balkans, we have countries who have been waiting for 20 years, far too long. And we cannot let the enlargement fatigue to derail the process. Got it.
I would like to respond to a point made by Rebecca. The UK is an island, or a set of islands, but actually we are now physically connected to the mainland. We have a tunnel to France, but we have several energy interconnectors, and this is essential for our energy security and for the battle to save the planet from climate change, as Rebecca discussed. And this doesn't just apply to us as an island in the North Sea, but Georgia and Ukraine on the Black Sea. What we need, as well as institutional integration, is physical connectivity. We need electricity cables from Georgia to the EU countries, to Ukraine. We need data cables across the Black Sea, data cables that link Ukraine and Georgia and Romania, and then this is the oil is the past, the future is data, and we can't have data flowing through the old routes, just through Russia, or we need new routes. And so I think there's so many areas that we can accelerate this cooperation, and some of them require institutional change, others don't. They should be done now.
Rebecca, Anatoly, any final word?
Sure. I mean, I can react a little bit to your question about what makes us European, and also Garrett's response or reflections on European identity. I mean, Norway has never been a part of the EU. As you said, the Norwegian people voted no twice. But my perception of Europe is that there are many constellations within the Euro-Atlantic orbit. So Norway completely respects and supports Georgia's Euro-Atlantic ambitions. But at the same time, I do think that when I think of Europe, it's sort of like a family. So you don't always agree. There are many different constellations, but in the end, you share the same interests, you share the same values, and it's in our best interest to work together, no matter what that looks like.
I just would like to thank you very much again for this good opportunity to be here, to speak about Europe, to speak about Ukraine. And according to time, we have to finish because I think waiting for the next session. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you to all three amazing panelists. One thing feels clear: being European is much greater than just a membership card or institutional borders. It is something much deeper, an identity shaped by shared values, mutual respect, and a willingness to stand together. What, especially in today's challenging reality, is the most important. Whether inside of the European Union, closely linked to the European Union, on the path towards membership in the European Union, our stories are very closely connected. The challenges we face, from security to digital to environment, do not stop at borders, and neither should our sense of shared responsibility. The European Union has shown that we are a reliable, fair, and a steady partner to our neighbors. Beyond structures and agreements, it is this spirit of cooperation and solidarity that truly defines what it means to be European. And perhaps this is the main takeaway of our panel. Europe is not just a place or a project. It is a shared commitment to move forward together. As Georgians say, ertat. Didi Matlova.